All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to That's the Angle, and I am joined with Martin Amini. What's going on, bro?
What up?
Not a whole lot, sitting in my room sweating my ass off because we haven't turned the AC on yet. So
Yeah.
got some of this iced coffee. But dude, I saw your post this morning, and you said some of the realest stuff on that post about going on the World Star first thing in the morning. I don't think truer things have been said.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes you got to look for alternate ways to get your blood flowing. It's not even It's not even that I intentionally go to look at that stuff. It's just on my time. Random shit. The most random things are on your timeline right now on Twitter. You can't help but seeing some wild stuff, man.
Oh, Twitter is crazy. It's like you don't know if you're going to run into porn or run into something.
Bro, it's like
political.
And it's usually the porn is from the people you least expect. You're like, what are you doing, mom? Like, why are you retweeting this? I don't know.
It's like, oh, no, I didn't know you had an OnlyFans too.
Yeah.
What's going on?
But yeah, Twitter's wild. I think quarantine is starting to get to everyone's mental. So I think like everyone is just like, at this point, anything's fair game on the timeline.
Oh, dude, yeah. People don't know what's going on. But real quick for like people who don't know who you are, would you mind just giving like a quick background of who you are and what you do and what's kind of going on?
I'm an unemployed comedian at the moment. I started comedy in Washington, D.C. in 2012, and I recently moved to Los Angeles 6 months ago to take my show that I started in D.C. to the Comedy Store in Hollywood. But now I'm back in Maryland, quarantining with the family.
Wow. So you literally went out there and then you ended up coming right back.
Yeah, I had a decision to make. I did a sold out show at the DC Improv March 11th, and then did some weekend shows there with Jesus Trejo, and had a flight booked for LA March, I want to say 17th or 18th. And it was a Tuesday. And I remember this is when like the NBA was canceled. Things were looking bleaker and bleaker by the day. And I'm like, do I want to wait this out in LA or do I want to just stay home and be closer to family? So I decided not to get on the flight back home to LA.
Wow.
And this was early March. And so I'm still here.
How are you feeling about that decision? Did you kind of feel like you made the right one?
Oh yeah. I mean, dude, I just gave up my apartment because it was just like, at the time, the rent was like expensive, bro. I had a nice spot on Melrose, and I was like, dude, if there's no live shows in LA, I have no business. You know what I mean? I could do what I do in DC. I can podcast here in DC. I can get, set up my studio here. I don't need to be in LA paying rent.
And you said you're at the Comedy Store. That's a pretty big place, isn't it?
Oh, it's like it's like the number one spot for comedy in the world, I'd say.
Yeah. I've only heard about it through, of course, Joe Rogan's podcast, and everyone who comes on there is like, that's the Mecca. That's the Mecca.
Yeah. I had my own show there every month. So that's why I moved there, is because they gave me my own show.
Wow.
So it was a really cool situation. I still have a really good relationship with them. I think like everyone else, we're just waiting it out to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. So like, I can't help but wonder, you said you've been doing it since like 2012, but how did you get to a point to where you could even go to the Comedy Store and consider that sort of like elevation of your craft?
I mean, it's one of those situations where you build up your name to the point where people want to work with you. It's not like you can walk in and just ask them for a show. You kind of have to have develop those relationships over time. So I was fortunate enough to build some LA relationships over the years. Plus, with the relationship I have with the DC Improv here in DC, that was enough to get me the show.
Okay, yeah. I mean, since 2012, that's a grind, dude. It's 18 years.
No,
sorry, 8 years.
Yeah,
fuck, my math is so bad. That's why I talk on microphones and I don't do math for a living.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So it just makes me wonder, like, what is like the DC comedy landscape in your perspective? Like, what is sort of like before, I guess, of course, pre-COVID, but like, what's your take on the DC comedy scene?
It's a great place to start comedy. A lot of talented comedians have gone on to bigger careers starting from DC and moving to LA, New York, bigger markets like that. When I started, the DC comedy scene was kind of on the verge of rebuilding. And over the course of the past 2-3 years, it's been like a golden age of DC comedy where, we went from having 2 to 3 shows a week to 20 shows a week. And
Wow.
I was there's like 4 comedy clubs. I was doing 2-3 shows a night. And it was an amazing time, an amazing place to really do comedy.
What do you think it took it to that next level?
I would say, that it was like the perfect storm of talent and timing of the city just developed. Like it's going through a renaissance. I grew up in this area, so like we if you're from the area, you're aware like DC has gone through so many changes over the course of the past 10 years.
Dude, yes.
The gentrification to the new, a lot of new money, a lot of disposable income. So I think that played a big role in more arts, more art patronage, like people paying for things like comedy, where someone like me can actually, make a living just full time doing comedy, which is what happened as of last year. So that was the biggest shift. I think people just paying and people being able to make a living and just grow the quality to the point where like New York and LA comics want to come and do shows in DC, like, get on a bus to headline and do shows at local spots like Big Hunt, DC Draft House, DC Improv. Those are great venues for comedy.
I love the Big Hunt. I love that ambiance in that basement.
Yeah, dude, that was like my spot. That was my home base.
It's funny because you're from Silver Spring, right?
Yeah, born and raised Silver Spring.
Yeah, I'm from Northern Virginia, Woodbridge.
Ah, dope.
Yeah, so I can relate. It's like we both kind of saw this 10-year progression of DC just becoming the place where your parents are like, hey, maybe I shouldn't go over there, to kind of being like, I kind of want to live here now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, parents, I don't know, but like definitely younger people for sure. Like it just became the place to be for nightlife. Places like Big Hunt didn't exist and probably couldn't exist unless there was a really, big market for that. And yeah, dude, if you're at Big Hunt on a Friday, Saturday night, it's one of the coolest places to be ever for any type of show.
Yeah, I love it. And it's definitely a unique experience. I was just like mooching for a while and going to like all the late night free shows. And then eventually I was like, all right, let me start paying. I want to see the real acts. And it was totally worth it.
Yeah, dude, it was great. It's a great place. Hopefully we'll see what happens. I think a lot of people are still like questioning what's going to happen after this quarantine. But I would like to imagine, there's going to be definitely venues for live performances when this is done.
Yeah, I definitely think people want to go do things like once it's over. I think people definitely want to be entertained. They're gonna have like a bigger appreciation for comedy and art shows, which is like art shows is like my world, and then nightlife and bars for those people. But how are you like really worried till things can kind of get back to normal with like a full attendance crowd and you being on stage?
I would say maybe initially there was definitely, it's day to day, man. Like any artist, you go through mood shifts, but like right now I've kind of like already made the decision to shift the whole strategy and from live performing to just doing podcasts and like, just online content in general.
Is that the kind of new wave for comedians right now?
I can't speak on behalf of comedians. It's up to every comedian to figure out what works for them. But for me, like I'm going straight YouTube, like stand-up clips, podcasts, vlogs, all that stuff is kind of the direction I'm heading in right now. Like that's why I got the new office right now in Silver Spring, just to solely focus on like film production and just stuff that like people will enjoy. If you like my comedy, you'll probably enjoy my YouTube channel.
And your YouTube channel is your name, Martin Amini, right?
Yeah, just my name. And I got like 2 specials on there. And the channel within the past month, I've gotten over 1,000 new subscribers in the past month. And
you deserve it. I was watching your stuff last night. I was geeking out, man. I was like, let me try and go to bed. But dude, I was losing it, dude. It was so funny.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. No, I was having a big year. I started off January taping my like special at the Kennedy Center, sold out show. We were selling out shows at the Comedy Store, selling out shows here at the DC Improv every month. And now it's, it took a few months to kind of like pivot to figure out what I wanted to really, but I've been trying to do this video podcast for like literally 2 years. And for whatever reason, the universe would put little things in my way to the point where I couldn't get it done. But as of today, I'm getting the keys to this new office to film my first video podcast. And that's going to be weekly, plus a Patreon extra episode.
What's it going to be called?
It's just the Overachievers. The Overachievers. And it's me, my DJ, and we have like a lot of comedian friends going to drop by the studio. But if you like my stand-up, it's really just an extension of my personality in the podcast. And we've been doing audio, but video is different, man. You need video.
Video hits different. You need that YouTube pull. It's so important.
And that's the thing. Like, we never fully went all out with the podcast the way I wanted to really give the audience the full, the consistency. Because I'm like, dude, we need visuals. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and there was a point where we were literally, because my equipment was in LA at my apartment. I had to get it because I moved back. I had to get it shipped. I had to have a comedian friend go to my apartment in LA, grab my like camera, my tripod, my lights, all that stuff that I moved to LA for the podcast and the show and the Comedy Store because I figured all my famous friends are in LA. That's a way better place to podcast than DC.
Makes sense.
And so my friend had to go to my apartment, deal with my roommate, pick up like all my stuff, my clothes. It was a mess. And then he had to go to this is all during a pandemic,
Oh my God,
he's
poor
like,
guy. What a trooper.
Dude, I swear he was the most chilled friend ever, like one of the best friends. And went to the post office, shipped my big lights, my tripod, my GH5 4K camera. Like, these are things I needed so bad to do all this stuff. So I got my stuff like maybe a few weeks ago, tried to do it at my house. I'm like, dude, I got to get an office. So it's been like one thing after another. But now that I'm like, I was like finally set up to the point where I'm going to go get this new office. Yeah, man, I'm just excited to create because I used to go on stage every night, man. So it's weird. Yeah, it's weird for me not to just go on stage, but not to create. So,
especially if you're doing it every night. Wow.
Every night, and I'm competitive, I was in it to be the best. And I feel like I was on the track to become one of the elite comics in the country. And that's the cool thing about YouTube is when you upload clips, it just goes to a bigger audience, man. I have messages from people all over the world because they saw my special. And it's exciting, and I want to be able to just do that on a weekly basis with the podcast, reach people all over the country / world. And hopefully when this is over, tour. I just want to go on tour.
Isn't that kind of like a new thing though? Is it like, I feel like that's kind of a new thing for comedians is to be uploading their material to YouTube. I feel like before you wouldn't see it as much, but within like the past 1 or 2 years, it seems like kind of like the content play.
Yeah, the business model changed, man. Now it's all about how big's your audience. And the bigger your audience, the more leverage you have in the business. Because back in the day, you make your money off like selling your special to a network. Now you make money kind of like a SoundCloud rapper. You make money on live shows and merch. So it's the same thing with us. Like, I make my money on ticket sales and merch. That's it. So anytime I produce anything, the end goal pre-COVID was what do you call it? Ticket sales for shows, right? Now, time I put something out, it's like YouTube subscribers. How do I get YouTube subscribers? That's it.
I feel you on that one.
So it's like, because like I want to be able to upload something and it just gets a certain amount, and I got ad revenue coming in now weekly to the point where it's like, it's not like crazy, but it's enough where I'm like, all right, there's a future in this with just YouTube checks. So it's like, dude, that's better than doing comedy on Zoom. You know what I mean? Like,
ooh, yeah. And the YouTube checks get crazy because it feels like it's exponential, but then you get to a point where you can get sponsors and shit. And then you're like, oh, like you kind of,
it's cool. I mean, it's a cool situation when, you reach the people you want to reach, and like the type of business partners that you want to work with kind of gravitate towards you. And it's almost like finding your voice on stage. You kind of find your affiliates that match your swag and your style. And I think that's kind of where I'm like, after watching my special, I feel like a lot of people can get an idea of like my personality and who my beliefs and, you know, whether they want to work with me or not. That's kind of like an ideal situation. It's like, dude, just watch my special. That's what I'm saying. If anyone doesn't know me, dude, just go ahead and watch my special, Son of an Ice Cream Man. And for real. Cause like I'm in a lot of situations where like, you know, I meet people like you who might not know me, or you're like, oh, introduce yourself to the audience. I'd rather the audience just go watch my special, man. You know what I mean? Because to me, it's corny to be like, yeah, I'm a comedian. I've been doing comedy for 8 years. It's like, you know, it's like, dude, I've been in that, especially coming from this area where being a comedian is, you know, not that prevalent. You know what I mean? And
it's definitely not a common occupation you're into.
I went through a lot to get to where I'm at as far as like having this be my career. So the last thing I want to do is explain what I do. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, man. I mean, they're like, because 9 out of 10 times you tell someone you're a comedian, like, really? Like, that's your real job? And it's like, yeah, that's my real job. And then
they probably follow that up with some bullshit like, tell me a joke.
You know? I mean, 9 out of 10 times that's what happens. So it's like, but the cool thing is, it is my job, and you know, I don't gotta really do anything. I don't gotta prove anything to anyone, because I'm fortunate. I've done enough where I'm able to move the way I want to move. You know what I mean? Like, you know, no
that's
disrespect, but I didn't have to do this podcast if I don't want. It's not going to make or break. You know what I mean? But that's freedom for an artist.
100%.
That's the best feeling for an artist. Like, I do this podcast because, you know, I like meeting new people right now. It's a cool organic thing, but there's no worse feeling than doing stuff that you don't want to do. Because that's why you get into this art to begin with. That's why you get into like comedy or music, because you don't want to work in the traditional environment, you know? So that's kind of where I'm at with the podcasting.
Yeah, everyone listening, you don't know this, but I actually have a guy sitting outside Martin's house right now with a gun pointed to his window, so he'd make sure to come on this podcast.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, dude, like, I really have a lot of love for this area. But getting to where I'm at right now, it took a long time. So it kind of, there was a cost to it, you know? For
a lot of sacrifice to get to those kinds of places.
Dude,
it's like you've transcended the DMV sort of like bubble, because I'm sure you've seen it all the time. It's like there's people who are like doing cool things, crushing it, but it seems like they keep hitting this ceiling. Like they for some reason they just can't get out, but you seem to escape that matrix.
Well, I had the good fortune of spending time in LA before I started comedy in DC. I lived in LA for 2 years. I have an older cousin who's very well known in comedy, and I was able to go on to like watch him blow up, and then kind of understand what it takes to get it to the next level. So that was my competitive advantage of like kind of seeing, you know, being at the comics table at the Laugh Factory before I was even in comedy, like hanging out with like Dane Cook or Neil Brennan, Bobby Lee, and learning from like those type of people.
Wow, you were in those rooms like at a young age?
Yeah, I was at the you know, at the table. I played basketball with Mike Epps at my gym. You know, living in LA, you know, if you're from Silver Spring, the idea of playing 2-on-2 with Mike Epps and his friend versus me and my cousin is like crazy. But if you live in LA and you go to Sports Club LA in West LA on Pico and Olympic, Mike Epps goes there, and you just play pickup basketball because
normal.
Yeah, it's regular thing where you're just guarding Mike Epps. And, you know, for a kid who went to Kennedy High School, it's like that would never happen. But when you live in LA, you get exposure to that those things can happen. So I played poker with Mekhi Phifer, you know, because my dry cleaner invited me to his card game.
Dude, that's so cool. And it's so casual for someone like you, just like, oh, no, it's just casual. Like people up there.
I mean, you got to understand but me even saying it is kind of like surreal. But when I was in LA, you get like my last show at the Comedy Store, Bill Burr performed on my show. Like I introduced Bill Burr. He just walked in, said, hey, can I do your show? I was like, yes, you could do my show. And that would only happen at the Comedy Store in LA. So when you get exposure like that, you move different in DC. You know what I mean? Like you don't get caught up in the small wins, because like you can easily get comfortable being like, oh, I'm the best in DC, but it's like that shouldn't be your goal. It should always be like bigger.
Yeah, that kind of feels like a weird flex to do all that and come back to say like, I'm the man. It's like, nah, you don't want that kind of like you don't want to push that out there like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, every artist is different, but if you're trying to make it outside of DC, you got to look bigger. You got to look for, you got to look to a bigger market. Like, definitely have your hometown back you, but don't let this dictate your all your energy. Be like, yo, this shouldn't be it. You should be striving for, LA, New York, and then world tour.
Like don't think small. Like don't think like I want to kill the local comedy scene. Like I want to kill the comedy scene and then transcend.
Yeah, but I don't want to call DC small because it's definitely not a small. It's a big deal to. It's a hard city to really master, man. And to have fans in DC is a big deal, bro. It took me a long time. That? It's just not an easy city to get behind you. I mean, look at Logic. Look at Look at Wale. Look at any artist that's made it out of the DMV. Like, how hard was it for them to have fans? They had to go to other cities to blow up in their own town.
Yeah. Our economy is very much like political driven. So to capture that tiny section of the market, it's a little more difficult than it might be.
Yeah, it's not like I said, it's not for everyone. But if you can make it out of DC, man, you're in a good spot. I think you have a good shot at making a career out of it for sure.
So you said you started it 8 years ago. What was the early stages of doing comedy in DC like for you?
Oh man, it was brutal. I mean, it just was like early on, you're just trying to make a name for yourself. You're trying to carve out your own spot on certain shows that don't necessarily want you on. And at the time I was, trying to break in, and it took, just like any other story, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of work. A few years before I got my first big break. And yeah.
What does it mean to break in? Is that kind of like you get recognized by the community?
Yeah. That's one way of looking at it. Becoming a guy who is consistent and people want to book. And that's really, I mean, because, you can argue there's certain people that are funny, but like funny to the point where like you're not a liability. And when people pay money, you're not going to let the booker down.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like they have that confidence in you that the dollars are worth it when you're paying for that big hunt. Yeah.
And then for every spot, there's like 10 to 20 comics who want that spot, who are all trying to write jokes to be that guy. And so you're literally going toe to toe with these guys every night, trying to outdo them, trying to, make the crowd laugh more than the last person. And it could become very competitive. It could become very unhealthy. But, eventually once you break in, it's not as, not as like dramatic every night. I'm at a place where like I walk in, it's like, all right, everyone knows me, my spot. But that's when you got to move,
Really? Like you kind of sensed it. You got to that spot where you're like, damn, I'm kind of past this.
Yeah. The moment you have nobody to, kind of compete with or prove anything, or you're in at all the comedy clubs, that's when you got to go to another city and really just, like LA, where I went, and build your name up to the point where you're back at the bottom. You're back at the bottom. No one knows who you are. You got to go up, and same thing. You got to out-funny the next person, out-funny to the point where people remember who you are. And then they want to have you on their show. And that's what was going on in LA for me. When my first 6 months, I was there for 6 months, and I built a name for myself in 6 months. So I was able to, make a lot of headway, and my shows were selling out because of my following on Instagram and Twitter. And,
wow.
Yeah, it was a cool situation, man. It was a really cool situation. And right now I'm excited to bring that energy to the podcasting and kind of like bring everyone in, because I think podcasting is a great medium to bring people closer and kind of create a community, kind of like we did with our live shows.
Mm-hmm.
So
and reach a lot more people. It's like,
yeah, 1000% reach. That's kind of that gives me a glimmer of hope for myself in terms of like giving me that fuel. Cause it's nothing like performing like Big Hunt, like, you perform for like pack show, 7 to 80, DC Improv's 280 people. It's like such an adrenaline rush, right? I mean, that won't happen for a while, until things start to loosen up, with the laws. But what can get me just as excited, if not more, is just seeing, the numbers on the podcast reach more than the amount of people that I'm performing for. If 1,000 people watch a podcast, that's such a cool feeling, because that means it's like you're just, people are enjoying it. You're reaching it, and you're just being yourself for an hour at a time, and they get to hear your stories. And it's not the same format as a stand-up comedy show, but it's still kind of like entertainment. And that's really exciting. The idea of that.
It seems so perfect for comedians. Like, it's such like a natural segues. Oh, you talk for a living. Just talk on a camera and put it to the world, and you never freaking know who's going to watch it.
Yeah, but a lot of comics, for different reasons, like some comics don't master their voice, and then secondly, a lot of comics don't have the business background to even execute a podcast, because there's a lot that goes into logistically and just making sure the quality is good and all that stuff. And it's challenging. I mean, comics have such ADD. It's like the idea of doing anything sometimes is just overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I think of like comedians doing content, I always look at how Andrew Scholes has been moving. It kind of seems like he really has it down pat, and he really kind of grew himself off of the back of that content.
Yeah, dude. He's definitely a guy, I look up to and reference as far as the blueprint. He really sped up the shift in comedy. I was fortunate enough to, open for him and become kind of close with him, like as far as like being able to text and stuff. But he's just like, he's definitely like a good reference for comics trying to have a career, basically.
I love his new style of video he's been doing, where he kind of has like the prompt on the screen and he kind of does this like monologue.
Yeah. I mean,
love that style. It's so like original to me.
I mean, it's original, but at the same time, if you think about it, it's the same formula we've seen for the past 40 years, as far as going back to Johnny Carson, late night, monologue.
Oh, that's true.
That's all it is. It's just a monologue. He's taking something that worked like for 50 years, 60 more. Think back to who before Johnny Carson, and to the guys from the 50s and 60s, but just put a 2020 Twitter energy spin on it,
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're bringing
old format.
It's 1,000%. But that's just, he's bringing it to the new medium, Instagram and Twitter, that's what a lot of these guys should have been doing. And some of them just couldn't you got to keep evolving with the new times, man. It's tough. Like, a lot of comics aren't using Zoom right now, whether it's podcasts or stand-up or whatever. These guys are just waiting for things to go back. And it's like, bro, it ain't going to go back the way you want it to go back. It's done.
You can't wait around these days. Like, I feel like if you wait too long, you're going to become irrelevant, which is going to be terrible.
Irrelevant. You can't wait. That's why I'm doing this shit. Cause like, this is like, cause it's like, you get picky, then if you're waiting for the right person to interview you or talk to you, it's like, bro, you're going to be waiting for a while, bro. Like, you might as well just, pull the trigger on some of these things and just put some stuff out there. So if there's
100%.
Any artist out there who's like waiting for the right time to put out their mixtape or start comedy or do it, bro, just do that shit, man. This shit ain't nobody waiting, bro. You gotta go chase them.
Because like, if you literally sat around this like for how many more months and you literally did nothing to expand your brand, that's suicide. But if you were smart like you, or I mean, I hate to give myself credit sometimes, where you worked on your brand, try to reach more people and like reach a new audience, then when you go back to whatever that normal is, now you have more access to more people, and it's like, who won?
Dude, 1,000%, bro. 1,000%. And even if you can take this time to like watch YouTube tutorials. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Watch how to build your channel. Watch how to get into comedy. Watch how to like, how to start a podcast. There's like, you could literally just type in how to. There's thousands of videos and tutorials to teach you how to get into everything. I got a background in film. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing the film and the comedy and putting it into a vlog. I have an idea for a web series I'm going to start called The Unemployed Comedian. Basically, it's about a guy who used to do comedy every night, getting back into film because he has no outlets. So I'm basically taking my audience and taking them on a journey with me to getting back into film projects. And I'm relearning, like, you know, the new cameras. I used to work with the 5D Mark II. I had a red camera, but now I got a GH5. So I'm going to try to do, I'm trying to do film with my new camera. So I'm going to teach the audience basically what I'm learning along the way and showing them, like, you know, new things that I'm working on, you know, to go with the comedy background. So you know me as a comedian, but now let's see what I can do as a director. Because I've shot videos for Phil Day and Chaz French. I directed their videos a few years ago, before the comedy took off. Yeah, they asked me to be Wale's camera guy 3 years ago, and I turned it down because it wasn't enough money, and also like I wanted to focus on stand-up. And so, but now I think I want to really get back into film. And
seems like a great time. I mean, I like that concept. I love how you're turning something that could easily be like an insecurity into like like an asset into the new form of vlogging that you're going to do. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we live in a time where it's like you just got to be authentic and share your story and see who like really because that's what worked for me in stand up. As soon as I started sharing my background and how I grew up, and the fact that my dad is an ice cream truck driver, and I drove an ice cream truck, and I'm just trying to do comedy with immigrant parents and all that stuff, people really started to gravitate towards me. And I built up an audience where now people want to hear what I have to say. And I think that's a key for a lot of people who are trying to get into any type of medium, is like, just put your truth out there, because you'll be surprised at how many people could identify with that.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that watching a lot of your films and different clips you had out there. You referenced your Iranian and Bolivian background a lot, and that just seemed like such a strong cornerstone of your set. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, dude. I mean, because there's not a lot of Bolivian Iranians out there, comedians, bro.
there really aren't. It's so unique.
Just general, like, who, you know, even podcasting, bro. All my favorite podcasters are white, and there's nothing wrong with being white. I mean, there's a little bit wrong with it.
True.
But it's like,
especially right now.
But it's like, bro, if you're trying to, like, let's say you're like a young Latin dude trying to like come up in this business of podcasting or vlogging or comedy it's like, bro, like, all these guys are white, son. Like, that's the voice. That's the voice of our generation, is a white guy. Come on, that don't feel like that's what's happening right now. You know what I mean? Like, it don't feel up to date. Not saying there's anything wrong with that. But it's like, bro, like, I listen to him. I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to Schultz. I listen to Theo Vaughn, The Fighter and the Kid, Tim Dillon. I listen to all those guys. But it's like, yo, there's no one that looks like me doing this shit.
There's no like ethnic perspective that grew up in like Silver Spoon. There's no like, it's such a unique like immigrant story perspective. It's like
nothing. And it's like, I'm trying to explain to my audience, it's like, bro, there's a reason why y'all fuck with me, and you need to continue to fuck with me, because we going to the top, and I need to tell these stories. You know, it's so imperative for there to be diversity. And it's not because it's not no status quo or like society pushed diversity. It's we need original stories that's not been told before. Like, you know what I mean? We could only hear the same things being said by the same type of guy over and over and over. It's like, yo, this shit gets repetitive, man.
Yeah, even stuff like your ice cream story. I loved that one show you did. I think it was called Laugh Tracks, where they didn't animate it, but they did like an actual visual of the joke you're telling. I was like, dude, that's so next level.
Bro, I auditioned for that in DC, and I got it. And they flew me out to LA to film that.
Dude, that was so cool. That felt like the next level of comedy in a way. I was like, that was so entertaining.
Yeah, bro, that shit was dope. And, you know, looking back on it, I feel like I could have even done a better job. That was 2017, 2018.
Yeah, you looked a lot younger in that video.
Yeah, I was
shaven and everything, like baby face.
Bro, I was ready, man. I was ready to blow up back then. You know, now I'm like, hey man, I might have to lean into this podcasting thing.
I mean, we have no choice right now. I'm doing the same thing at the beginning of it. I was like, fuck. I was like, what am I gonna do? I was like, wait a minute. It's kind of sweeter, because now when I talk to artists, like different artists, especially like visual artists, I could pull up a photo right on the screen.
Yeah.
And we could talk about it directly. I'm just like, it's kind of a win.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about adapting and evolving to the environment, man. I can't emphasize that enough, man. So like, I hate seeing people who are lazy. That shit drives me crazy. I hate that
Oh
shit.
my God, dude. Those posts that are like, it's okay to do nothing during quarantine and just discover yourself. I'm like,
Yeah. I mean, to counter that though, like if that was like the first month,
true.
I could get it. I can because I was one of those people. I was like, yo, bro, like my life changed dramatically. I was in LA, and now I'm back. I had I had worked 6-7 years in a row to move out of my parents' house as a comedian. Worked my way up, got the show at the Comedy Store. That's like, you know what I mean, next level shit. Now I'm
That's
back at my
definitely
parents'
next
house.
level
Like after I did everything, I did all the work, and I'm like, this is the year, baby. Your boy's out. And then the pandemic, because someone ate a bat in China, I'm back in my parents' house. How fucked up is that? How
Yeah, dude,
crazy is that?
it's so crazy. It's like everyone's trajectory, and then all of a sudden, it's like a big wall's put onto it, and you just got to go around it. And that going around it is like this new sort of adventure.
Yeah, bro, it's gonna be fine. You just gotta. It's just you know what it is. It's just work, bro. It's just work, and it sucks to say it like that, but it's a lot of work. And even like the things that like you don't want to, might not look at it as work. It's work. Like learning how to adjust to uncomfortable situations. That's work. You know, it might not come off as work, but like learning how to be productive during not ideal work environments.
What do you mean, man? We could just sit around and get that unemployment check. Why work?
Well, I'll tell you what though, man. If you're not working on good habits, bro, when this is all said and done and the unemployment dries up, you're again, it all depends on what your goals in life are.
Very true.
Because I got a lot of homies that are very regular. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with being regular. No, you're laughing, but I'm being dead serious. I got some regular ass friends, bro. Super regular. And if you talk to them, they got some regular thoughts and some regular feelings, and that's why they're regular. And it's like, yo, there's nothing. Sometimes I envy regular people because they got regular problems. I don't got regular problems. I got like fucking comedian problems. Like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to record a podcast in my car on my iPhone, bro. Like, because all my equipment and my XLR, my Zoom recorders in my fucking LA apartment. I'm stuck in Gaithersburg, Maryland because of quarantine. Like, those are some comedian ass problems. Yelling at my dad, I need to do a Zoom comedy show in the living room, so he needs to stop watching NCIS and go upstairs. Like that's a weird ass 2020 quarantine problems.
Some content creator problems because now you're worrying about shit that you never thought you'd like oh, the cord was disconnected. Now I got no audio. God, like,
yeah, bro.
You got a whole new slew of problems now.
Quarantine problems, immigrant problems, but it's like that's where we at as a country, bro. As a world, that's a global problem. I'm sure there's some kid in fucking France yelling at his dad in French. Papa, I need to work on my podcast. Get out of here. Get out of here. Go eat a croissant. Go eat croissant, Papa.
Right? It's like, why does podcasting feel so exclusive to America?
Oh, it's not, man. It's not. It's the way. It's the future. This shit went full circle. We went from like not wanting to communicate, you know what I mean, to text, to emojis, back to like long form ass conversations. How crazy is that?
I never thought about it like that. That's very true. Like all of a sudden,
humans are so fucking weird, man. We're so weird, bro. Like we want things fast, but then we want but then we listen to long conversations of strangers, complete strangers.
Yeah, isn't that weird? It's like we want the quick YouTube cuts, but we want to listen to a 3-hour podcast of two people talking.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. But I'm here to provide that. If that's what you guys want, for $10 on my Patreon, I will provide you with conversations every week with my DJ.
Dude, the Patreon move is such an interesting new sort of move for content creators.
Yeah, I think it's a way for like the way it's a tool for me that I'm going to start to utilize within the next few weeks once I get the new studio set up to kind of speak my truth. Like right now I'm speaking my truth, but for $10 a month, I will speak my mind a little bit more. You see what I'm saying? Whereas
like less PC or something?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, just because for a comedian, you rely on certain corporate industry outlets to help your career, you know? But if you're fully funded by Patreon, it's like the difference between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. You know what I mean? Like Bernie was saying some wild shit because the people were funding his campaign. Joe Biden can't say the same things Bernie was saying because he's getting funded by all the corporations. You feel me? So their speeches are going to sound a lot different.
Yeah, there's like a level of freedom to where when you're making it all yourself, no one can really tell you what you can and can't say.
Right, you're in control.
And especially important for you, someone in your position where it's like you kind of have to sometimes touch subjects that are uncomfortable, but do it in like a special way.
Yeah, there's I mean, even if you do it in a special way, there's always going to be people angry, no matter what. So if I have people, you know, patroning my art for $10 a month, now, you know, they all are kind of already they're like investing in my career almost. They're like, all right, Martin, here's the money. Now say what you say. Go ahead and keep speaking your truth because that's what we want to hear. And that empowers me to continue to do that as opposed to like, I don't want to say play it safe, but you know, trying to minimize the amount of people I piss off. Put it like that.
So when you're like writing jokes, or I don't know how you come up with your material, are you consciously like censoring yourself sometimes from like certain bits and stuff? Are you kind of saying like, ooh, I don't know if I should go down that route? Like,
I mean, I'm for sure early on, like when I was trying to carve out my spot, you can't be the guy saying like, not all racism is bad racism. You know what I mean? Like, and then like, just hear me out. And then it's like, yo, because it's obviously a joke, but you don't know me like that. You don't know, I don't have a catalog of jokes to back up my funny. So everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy with this premise? And then, but yeah, man, I'm very fortunate. I have enough comedy out there that, you know, enough people understand it and appreciate it and can back me up right now. So that's something I'm genuinely very grateful for. Even while I'm at my parents' house.
That was something I noticed that you're really good at doing. Like while I was watching your stuff, is you would like say something that was almost like very controversial, but then you would flip it in a very smart way, like just get away from what everyone thought you were about to be politically incorrect about.
Yeah, dude, I mean, because like I just like being ignorant, like in a fun way, and I can reel it back with some smart facts, but I don't know when comedy had to be so smart. Like, I'm a smart dude, but I'm not the smartest. If I was smarter, I would not have chosen a path in comedy. You know what I mean? Because it's a very brutal like career. I would have played it, you know, something a little bit less tough. But yeah, dude, I think comedy should be fucking fun, man. I don't understand why people are so sensitive right now. I mean, I guess it's the nature of the environment. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like I've definitely heard a lot less from the very PC controlling people during this whole thing. Yeah,
well, that's because there's bigger problems right now.
That's a fact.
It's fucking hard to tweet when your fucking electricity's not working. Like, fuck, man. It's hard. It's hard to get mad about that.
It's so hard to be like, screw Donald Trump when you're filing for his unemployment. Like,
them stimulus checks make you feel different. I'm not gonna lie. When I got that first unemployment check, I'm like, yo, this is more money than I ever made in comedy, son. This is crazy.
Yeah, I thought the same thing about photography. I was like, damn.
Yeah, dude. Are you a photographer?
Yeah. That's like my main business, but I would slowly love to be able to just do podcasts and do YouTube content and stuff full time. But I kind of like how they coincide a lot. So,
dude, that's a great thing to be in right now. Photography and.
Well, it's not a great thing to be in right now. We're very much in the same situation.
That's true. No, I think it's easier to photograph people than it is to perform for audience members.
That's true. That's very true. But I will say that I started going down like the route of like of event production and doing art shows.
Oh yeah. That's tough. But I'm saying you could still do like solo, photo headshots and for social distancing photography.
Yeah, got this long lens from across the football field. Yeah, just move a little to the.
Yeah, nah. I mean, I've been hanging around people. I mean, it's not like large groups, but I've been groups of 2, 3, 4.
No, I definitely have to. I can't isolate anymore. I'm done with that shit.
Yeah, it's over. I think even government officials are realizing it's over. They're like,
But just like the general consensus among people, just like,
yeah, because I mean, it's like on one hand you're trying to save lives, but on the other hand, it's like you're dealing with people who just want to get back out to work, and it's like, what are the, you know what I mean? Like the pros and cons.
So you were saying that comedy is like really brutal. What about it makes it such like a brutal industry?
Um, you're just dealing with like all types of personalities. It's like the full spectrum from
Mhm.
like artists to like, you know, comedy show producer slash promoter to like fans. It's so crazy, man. It's crazy. It's just like the wild shit. And then like comedians are just it's wild. It's a wild breed, man.
Some eccentrics in there.
Bro, it's tough. And then, you know, I am who I am. And it's like, there's a lot of people who might not understand who I like, understand me. You know, I might rub people the wrong way, but it's one of those things where you just gotta be true to yourself. And then the right, like I said, the right people gravitate towards you.
I mean, from an outsider perspective, looking in at someone like yourself, I would think that the brutalness of how you were saying, like performing every day or performing maybe multiple times a night, and then on top of that, having material that's kind of always on the cutting edge, and then dealing with getting booked and dealing with this, now dealing with content, like that's a crazy grind.
Yeah, I mean that's you said it in a more eloquent way than I would, you know. Um, but it's the getting on stage isn't it's the performing for me isn't the challenge. It's like the process of to be in that situation where you can't perform every night. That's kind of where like the brutalness comes from. You
Mm.
know, getting those opportunities to be able to go on stage every night. That's the hard part.
And how do you get those?
Same thing what I was saying earlier. I mean, it's like there's a lot of nuance involved. You know what I mean? There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of moving and shaking. There's a lot of, you know, just, you know, behind the scenes craziness, behind the curtain shit. You know, that's what
I
I
mean,
mean.
one can only imagine. It's one of those industries I look at from a distance, like, dang, I have no idea how they do that.
I don't know. And it's like anytime you see a TV show, you try to like replicate it, like Crashing on HBO or like that show on Showtime, I'm Dying Up Here. It's like it's hard to replicate it, man. Especially like the way I did, like as a like from a minority point of view, it's just a different energy, man. It's just different. Like
Like,
in any field, minorities trying to get opportunities and become like the main person is an uphill battle. You know what I mean? That shit is not. It's not easy.
I mean, honestly, I never thought about it until you pointed it out that some of the biggest comedians and comedian-driven podcasts are all white dudes.
Dude. That's
That's
and it's not even coming from a place of like I enjoy their stuff,
You're just
but
pointing it out.
it's like, bro, like there's definitely different voice. I mean, it's like, but look, we have the tools to do it, but like it's like how you execute. You know, how do you? Is there an infrastructure for someone like me to kind of come up, or do you have to just build it yourself from the ground up without any validation from someone else? You know, to help you expedite that process. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at. Building it from the ground up to where I was because of relationships I forged from zero. And that's what made it to me more commendable because it was self-built. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's what makes my podcast really exciting because we can really educate a lot of people on just how to make it, man. For real. Like, despite what happened, I'm still successful in this field. And that's like the coolest thing about this whole situation. No matter what, I still get 5,000 to 10,000 views on my special every day. Like, it's exciting. It's exciting.
Also, we're in a time when people really want to be entertained. Being
Yeah,
a content
man.
creator right now is a great idea.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, why not, bro? Why not? You know?
Was there ever a time like in your like the early days of your come up in DC where you kind of had like second thoughts about being a comedian?
Oh, dude, all the time, man. I mean, not all the time, but like, there's definitely nights where you're like, after a show, you're like a heckler. You're like, what the fuck am I doing? Why is this worth it? Then you see your friends get married and like have kids and get a mortgage. You're like, man. But like, even after this whole pandemic situation, I'm so grateful that I was chasing my dreams as opposed to playing it safe. Because I can't imagine being in my house in quarantine with my wife and kids, and having a dumbass job, and just being like, fuck, man, this is it. And, you know, at least like me, I'm like, well, you know, I ain't got no kids. I ain't got no mortgage. So if shit hits the fan, I ain't got no obligations right now. So that's kind of like
it's freedom in a way.
Dude, I love freedom, man. I love it.
You know, it's like, it's everything.
I like having options. All right. You know, call me difficult, but I enjoy, you know, do I want to get Chick-fil-A or do I want to go to Smoothie King? You know?
It's a tough one.
If I had a kid, he's probably going to say some dumb shit like Burger King. And I don't have to say like, man, shut up, man. We're getting smoothies today. You know, a Psy Energizer.
God forbid he wants to go to Wendy's. You're like, oh shit, this is not my kid.
Yeah, this kid is an idiot. So, yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to have fun, not take shit too seriously, get some subscribers along the way, and just, you know, fucking. That's it. That's it, man. That's not, you know, that's the story of Martin Amini. You know, I ain't really tripping off nothing much.
I mean, I feel that. I love to see it, man. I love to see you out there like killing it, especially when I saw you're from this area. Like when I hit you up, I was just sort of like, damn, like I wonder if this guy's even gonna reply. This dude's out in LA.
I'm trying to I'm back in town. I don't know for how long, but I'm kind of trying to rebuild myself in this area, meaning like wait this out to see like what happens. Because like nobody knows what's going on. We're like 3 months into this, and we have more questions than answers. We're more confused now than we were 3 months ago.
Did you see the Mayor Bowser rollout plan, the phases or the stages at all?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is erroneous. Like
pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it was coming from a place of logic. I think it was just coming from a place of like, we just got to show visuals and pictures, and something needed to come out, kind of like.
Or like we just need something to show people that we're thinking about it.
Right, because if you look at the fine print, the 25% in restaurants, it's like, dude, that can't even cover like the staff.
Dude, exactly. That's the same. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, you can't have a restaurant open and have operating costs and then be like, you got to sit 6 feet apart, or you can only sit outside.
It doesn't make any sense. It's difficult, man. So I think what's going to happen is the politicians are just going to give in and just say, fuck it. And people will get sick, but we'll just deal with it. It's going to suck. But like, we're just going to deal with it, man. It's a really bad situation. It's not the best situation ever. But I think after being in quarantine for 2-3 months, I think people are willing to risk it, man. I really do. I think people are just saying, fuck it. I want to go to Cheesecake Factory. I need cheesecake. I need to yell at a waiter. I haven't yelled at anyone in months, and this is my freedom. I'm an American. I pay my taxes. I should be allowed to yell at my server about my bread. And
yeah, right. People are like, I want to go to that bar and pay $15 for that cocktail.
Dude, it's crazy, but I'm not even a drinker like that. But I want to go to a bar and just, you know, hang out. I miss just fucking loud places. You know what I mean? I mean, as a comedian, I do a lot of shows at Big Hunt, a bar. And dude, I miss that whole vibe, man. I want to drink a shot of Jameson and just get a little fucked up right now. Like, I can't wait to get fucked up at a bar.
Dude, I can't imagine how friendly everyone's going to be when everyone can kind of go back. Can you imagine how fun going out will be?
I mean, I'm probably on the opposite. Like, yo, dog, don't get too close. You know what I mean? My sister's boyfriend, he's like in the backyard working on a new deck at the house, at my dad's house. You know, he was like, he came in for like a little like water break, and he like coughed like 3 times in a row. And I'm like, yo, bro, like
3 times in a row.
Like, what the fuck's going on? He's like, what you mean? I'm like, I don't know if you've been watching the news, but you just coughed 3 times in a row. Are you feeling okay? Should we take your temperature? You know, like
coughing's controversial now.
It's triggering. You cough in front of me, we're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a problem.
I imagine myself being somewhere like at a concert when all this is over, and like you feel like I might have like hit a joint or something in a cough. I'm like, just like trying to suppress that bad boy.
I think you know what it is, man. It's gonna take some time mentally for a lot of people to get comfortable. I'm not as optimistic as you as far as like the positivity. I think there is a lot of tension right now. I think there's a lot of sexual tension. I think there's a lot of mental tension. I think there's going to be a lot of fights, but we need to get it out of our system. And what better way to get it out of our system than going to see Martin Amini live at the DC Improv, you know?
That's a big fact. That'll probably be the first thing I do as soon as I can.
I think it's one of those things where we don't know until it happens, but I can promise you I'm going to be podcasting to keep the name up because, I miss the microphones, bro. I got to talk on a mic. I can't not. But yeah, man, I really do hope everyone, finds their purpose in life and just, stops complaining and just
random question. But how did you know you wanted to be a comedian? Like, what was that thing?
I think I had like an identity crisis at the age of 24, 25, and I just needed to try something. I was a drug dealer for a long time before comedy, so I just needed to get out of that life. And being a comedian seemed like the most logical, pivot to like a job that doesn't have a boss. I can't rap or I can't sing. And my cousin was a comedian, so I was like, I thought I was funny. And I was like, well, he's successful. I could become successful. And so like, that's how I chose comedy. It wasn't like a cool moment or anything like that. It was just, I was running out of time and running out of options. So I figured just go all in.
Wow. And so then you were just like, let me try and get on some open mics or something?
Yeah. That was it. And I went up. It was just straight winging it, bro. No plan, just go in. Because there comes a time when you got to pull the trigger, man, at some juncture in your life. And like being a weed dealer into my late 20s and early 30s was just not a good look. And I figured comedian is more respectable.
Yeah, instead of dealing some bud, deal some jokes.
Yeah.
Get it legally,
Yeah, man. I personally think weed's cool. I mean, weed is like, it's I don't look at it as a drug personally. I don't think it's a big deal, but you get older, you realize, man, your career really defines you. It's an identity. I just don't want to be an old weed dealer. There's just something about it. Didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, it's like, unless you're gonna become the guy who starts like the grow up business and becomes that guy, just being like a street weed dealer.
No, I was that guy. I was a heavy duty.
What?
Yeah, I was heavy duty, bro. I was, farms and everything. I was.
Oh, whoa.
That's why I was in California. I had like access to men's. I can't get into details, but I was like on the high. I was, $10,000-$20,000 a week type of situation. So I had money. I was making lots of money. I was always business. I was always very business savvy.
I mean, that's some real hustler shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very successful. What can I say, Bruce? I'm very successful in life. I'm a winner. I don't lose. I'm an overachiever. You know what I mean? That's why I tell people you got to sign up for my Patreon, because I'm very successful. Granted, I'm back at my parents' house right now temporarily, but once I get this new office today and I start my podcast, I'm going to look for a spot in DC and build a new studio dedicated to podcasting and film and help. I want to help young podcasters and artists in DC. I want to do consulting and stuff. So I'm probably going to build out my own YouTube channel just for podcasts to help young artists build their audience. I want to build a podcast network. So that's going to be something for the DC area. And I will be announcing all that stuff soon.
I think that's really cool. I've had a few people try to like syndicate my show, and I'm just kind of like, I don't want you to control me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense to control your thing, but I feel like unless that person's bringing value, like audience or better equipment or studio, like that, that to me is a fair trade-off. And yeah, man, just being affiliated with a winner like Martin Amini and the overachievers, I think that's something that you want. You know, you want to be aligned with the best brands possible.
You're the plug master.
You know, Coca-Cola, you know what I mean?
Coca-Cola, Martin Amini.
Yeah, Coca-Cola. Yeah, man. Blue Magic. That's me, baby.
Hey, I think the same thing. I'm like, Joe Rogan, no jumper. That's the angle. Oh, what do you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, I've met Joe. He's a cool guy, very nice guy.
I'm sure.
I just think like, dude, I could do this. I'm just as good, if not better, than all of them, man.
He just put in time. That's the only difference. Is he just put in
time, man. You got to put in time, baby. That's it.
Dude, I remember being in high school and smoking bud with my buddies, and one of them would be like, "Yo, man, you got to listen to this podcast by Joe Rogan." Now we were all just like, "Ah."
Did you say that?
No, that wasn't me. It was my buddy Aaron. He was like that dude on that tip.
He was probably like some kid on steroids who liked kung fu. He's like, bro, you gotta watch this guy is fucking the man. He likes fucks with DMT and fucking he kickboxes and shit. Hell yeah.
I think what you're gonna do is really cool too, because of your unique perspective, because of that Iranian believing perspective. I think a lot of people will really mess with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't speak Spanish or Farsi, but you know, that's definitely a real background. I definitely was at the parties. I'm a kid from the DC area, dude. I spend more time in DC than with people in Iran and Bolivia. So I think DC kind of gives you that unique background, to be honest. The DMV is a very eclectic place.
That very diverse place, man, for sure. Dude, like nothing crushes my soul more than when I tell someone I'm Hispanic and they're like, "Do you speak Spanish?" I'm like, "Nah." Then they go, "You're not Hispanic." Oh my God. I don't know what to say. I'm like, well, you're kind of right, but you're not.
Yeah. I mean, bro, it's like, you just gotta be comfortable in your own skin and don't let anyone like make you feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not up to other people on how you feel about yourself. You know what I mean? It's about how you feel about yourself. That's why I learned in comedy, bro. You gotta just be comfortable in your own skin. Like people try to turn things on me all the time, but it's like, nah, I'm cool. I'm all right. That's why you gotta like, yo, the most important thing at life, man, for real shit, is like how you sleep at night. You know what I mean? You sleep good, you sleep peacefully, you winning, bro. You winning. If you sleep good, like a little baby, you're rich. Cause I could tell you from experience, man, when I was making the most amount of money in my life, I was making like 50, 60,000 a month as a young kid in his 20s. I wasn't sleeping good. You know what I mean? I was worried. Wow. I was worried about getting arrested. I was worried about, you know, getting snitched on. And I got snitched on. I had, you know what I mean? I had to go see lawyers. I had to, you know, protect myself.
Wow.
And it's like, I've been held at gunpoint 3 times. So it's like, you get held at gunpoint 3 times, you change the way you think. And I sleep good right now, bro. I sleep good. You know what I mean? I'm a comedian podcaster. You know what I mean? That's fine. That's fine with me. So
it's so funny being like, yeah, I do a podcast, but it's like when your podcast is like super popping, then it's like, oh, it's validated. But when you tell someone that, they're just kind of like, oh, okay.
But see, it goes back to how you feel about yourself.
Exactly.
Because it's about what energy you put out. If you don't believe in yourself, why would anyone believe in you, bro? You know what I mean? It's like, why would anyone want to fuck with you or put, you know, your thoughts into their thoughts if you don't believe in yourself? You feel me? That's why I talk the way I talk, is because for real love, I have confidence. And like, why would anyone want to listen to me if I don't believe in myself as a comedian / podcaster? I haven't done one video podcast, but I know it's going to be one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Guaranteed it's going to be big. Because,
I like that energy.
Well, it's because, bro, like I'm one of the best young comics in the world, straight up. And you're entitled to your opinion to say no, but you can also go Martin Amini YouTube and look up my special. Yo, 100,000 views, 120,000 views in 2 months. That's for a kid from Silver Spring, Maryland, with no promoting.
That's views, baby.
And it goes up every day. So That's
That's something to be
without
proud of. That's sick.
that's without any video podcast. That's straight only stand-up clips. You look on my channel, it's only stand-up clips. Imagine when I start podcasting, when people find me for the first time. They're like, yo,
start getting that content machine. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I'm good. You know what I mean? I got 100,000 views with no one backing me. So it's like when I start to get that momentum, it's game over.
See, like that's the beauty, the positive of this break is you can like look at what you're doing, like audit it and be like, how do I take this to the next level? How do I change? How do I adapt? Like
bro, if this didn't happen, I would still be performing every night, not thinking about any of this.
Right?
I'd be chasing the next joke and not trying to like get my video game up.
What a weird blessing, right? It's like,
bro, I bought new lights. I got, what did I buy? Yeah, I bought new lights, new microphones, this office space. I'm paying a large amount of money for it, but it's because it's furnished. I wanted the look, that Fighter and the Kid look of like backdrop and furniture. And I didn't want to do no, in the house, in my bedroom, this shit background. I don't want this. I want a big space for me, my DJ, my whole team.
Real nice production setup.
Yeah, I'm projecting best in the world, so I gotta have like a best in the world set. So that's kind of like the vibes. And we got the camera equipment, we got the lights, and we have a great follow. We have a lot of subscribers who are ready to see it. So I'm excited to, drop the first episode probably next week. That's sick, man, dude. Your energy is contagious, man. I feel more pumped up. Well, you should be, man. Stop being gay. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. It's like, nah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. For $10 a month, you could hear me call people gay on Patreon and not in real life. But it's just stuff like that. Like, I feel like we've all had moments when we were young. We've probably had the best laughs of our lives when we were younger. And I think as you get older, it's harder to have those like hearty laughs that you get with your close friends. And I kind of want to bring that close friends energy to the public. But with that, there needs to be trust. There needs to be, vibes. You need to know my background and why I'm bringing this energy and, what's the intention behind it. It's not to offend. It's to have fun. And, that's for another episode, but it's I want to be able to educate, empower, and entertain. But in order for that to happen, people got to trust me. And they got to give me a shot. And that's what I'm pitching right now, is for people to give me an opportunity to be their guy. And 100. And for it not to be a white guy. Well, God damn it, I believe in you, Martin. Thanks, bro. Giving a Bolivian Iranian comedian a shot, man. I think, I'm not worried. It's because I already know what's going I know how this is going to play out. I'll be fine. But it's about like, just keeping it honest, man. Keeping it honest. I don't know you. I have no idea who you are still, but I respect that you reached out and you took a chance. And sometimes, 1 out of 10 times, it's gonna happen. You'll get a good episode, and you'll upload this. People will watch it, and you're like, damn, how did this guy get Martin Amini when it's 2020? When it's like in 20 years from now. People like, damn, Martin was a crazy drug dealer. Holy shit, I like this guy a lot more. Yeah, dude. No, I mean, it's definitely on my specials. The story about my father having to, bail me out of a robbery went wrong. You know what I mean? Getting robbed. My father had to bail me out of a couple situations, and all the stuff on my special is true. I lived through a lot, and I think a lot of my responsibility is to kind of share my life lessons and my experiences with people who are younger than me. I'm not old, but I've been through enough where I think a lot of people, when I was 16, I lost 10 pounds out of my trunk. Half of it was fronted to me by a gang. And so I had to, figure out a way to pay these guys back. And finally I had to ask my father for the money. And, that was a real situation that I said the story on my special. And it's life experiences like that kind of allow me to be the person who I've become today. That's some real life shit right there. Yeah, man. Everyone does things. I mean, I just happen to do things at a higher level than most, and it's okay because not everyone's built for that shit. You know, I've made mistakes, plenty of mistakes, but I think it's important to look back and learn from it and kind of make light of it. You know,
That's all we can do.
dude,
Otherwise, you
it's
keep that
all we
shit bottled
can
up. It's gonna
do.
hurt.
Dude, there's so many jokes about old wars from back in the day. You know, I think like I can't imagine comedians in the fucking 1800s how like politically correct those people were. You know what I mean? There's fucking slavery. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine what a comedian would say in 1870 or 1700? Jesus, that would be
I,
crazy.
I don't even want to start making up those jokes.
Yeah, dude. He's like, it's hot in here.
He's like, I was in the field.
Yeah.
I can't even make those kinds of jokes.
Yeah, dude. It's yeah, dude. You don't want to lose your podcast spot.
Right? Like now is not the time.
Now's not the time. You gotta protect all the tens of listeners you got, baby.
Hey, I'll take each and every one of them.
Hell yeah, dude. But yeah, man. Hopefully, you know, we can meet in person soon. And
For sure.
you know,
Yeah, Martin, I really
show.
appreciate you coming on the show, man. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks, man.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone at this point definitely knows where to find you. And if you're listening on the YouTube, it'll be in the description. So
Yeah, please follow me on YouTube and Instagram. Those are my two main, and Twitter too. I'm gonna get back. I tweet fairly often.
awesome. Well, guys, definitely check this guy out. That's
Thanks,
it.
Bruce.
That's Yango. Later, man.